Grand Rising. Let's talk about shadows, the subconscious mind, unawareness, and what happens when you refuse to look at your shadows, refuse to acknowledge your wounds, when you deny them, when you suppress them, when you completely disengage from the truth of the entirety of your being. So, there's nothing wrong with having wounds, with having shadows. We are all human. We're all dualistic. We all have dark and light. But what a lot of people don't realize is when it comes to the subconscious mind, when it comes to shadows, when it comes to wounds, our subconscious drives most of our experience. That's how our heart automatically functions. That's how our internal network runs and functions. It's all subconscious. It's all very automatic. So what happens is when we have aspects of ourself, wounded parts that hurt, shame, just parts of ourself that are uncomfortable, that we don't want to look at, that we don't want to accept as being a part of who we are, and we shove them back into our subconscious. We suppress them there. We lock them there. When you suppress a shadow, it does not mitigate the shadow. It doesn't mitigate the wound. In fact, shoving your shadows and refusing to look at them or assess them and placing them in your subconscious actually has the opposite effect. What will end up happening is that shadow will fester. It'll grow. And because it is in your subconscious, because it is in your unawareness, it is going to start driving your entire experience. It's going to grow, it's going to fester, and eventually, if these aspects of yourself, if these wounds, if these behavioral patterns, if these limiting and lack mindsets and beliefs, if you refuse to look at them, if you refuse to accept them, if you refuse to sit with them, you will become them. And because you've shoved those aspects of yourself so deep in your subconscious mind, what's going to end up happening is you're going to be unaware of them. But everyone you come into contact with and everything you touch and all of your behaviors and your actions, that's going to be the driving force behind those things. It's the parts of us that we are unaware of that actually drive our experience. And it is in becoming fully aware of oneself that you are sovereign and you are consciously driving the entirety of your human experience. So with subconscious drivers, when you shove away parts of yourself that make you uncomfortable, that you don't like, it's going to create this cyclical cycle of shame, of judgment, of self-abuse, of self-destructive patterning. And the reason for that is, and this is going to manifest in your life as well, and I will explain why that is. It's because those aspects of yourself, you've shoved them in your subconscious. And in most of our experience and most of what we do, that's automatic, happens in the subconscious. So what that'll end up looking like is those parts of yourself that you've denied, that you refuse to look out, look at, that you refuse to take accountability for, that you refuse to take ownership of, you're going to start, because your subconscious mind is still aware that those things exist in you and they're still the truth of your being, but you aren't, because you have shoved them so deep in your subconscious. You've denied them. You have blinded yourself to those being aspects of who you are. And so what's going to happen is it's going to influence your perceptual lens in such a way that when you look out in the world, you're going to see you. You're going to see all the parts of you, your shadows, your wounds, the things you're ashamed of. You're going to see those things superimposed on anyone and anything you look at through your lens. Our subconscious deeply affects our perceptual lens, as well as our consciousness. And so when it comes to refusing shadow work because it's uncomfortable, what's going to be reflected back to you in your outer experience is everything that you refuse to look at and you refuse to accept, engage with, and take accountability for, sit with, and transmute. That's going to be reflected back to you in your outer experience. And no, this is not the universe punishing you. It is your subconscious, your shadows, your wounds, the parts of you that are screaming for your attention, that are screaming for transmutation, that are screaming to be looked at, to be touched, to be set with, reflecting back to you as a call to look at yourself, all of yourself, including the parts of yourself that you're ashamed of, including the parts of yourself that you don't like. You cannot change what you do not acknowledge, okay? So when you are denying those parts of yourself, when you are saying, no, that's not me, that doesn't exist, well, you're lying to yourself. You are gaslighting yourself. That's self-abuse. And so what are you going to project out into the world? If you're judgmental of your shadows and your wounds, you're going to judge others. If you are, if you are disconnected from yourself and fractured from your spirit, you're not going to be able to connect and engage with others in a way that is healthy, in a way that is reciprocal, because you're disconnected from an entire aspect of yourself. So you're not going to be able to connect with anyone fully because you're not fully connected with yourself. If there is a parts of you that you are ashamed of, you're going to shame others. And all of that, it breeds distrust in yourself. And if you cannot trust yourself, then you cannot trust others. You cannot trust love. You cannot trust acceptance. You cannot trust accountability. You cannot trust honesty. You cannot trust compassion. You cannot trust authenticity. You cannot trust acceptance because you do not embody those things yourself. You lie to yourself. You are inauthentic with yourself. You shame yourself. You are abusive towards yourself. You deny yourself the full experience of connecting with yourself. And that is exactly what you're going to project out into your interpersonal relationships. And that's going to be what's reflected back to you in how your life works and the way that the universe responds to you. You can't fake a frequency, and the universe is going to give you a reflection of what you are. And the problem with this is people who are cut off from themselves, they're going to target and attack people who are deeply connected to themselves. And even at a subconscious level, they're going to attempt to disconnect those people from themselves because that person standing in their authenticity makes them uncomfortable. I'll speak on this more later, but I just wanted to share that. I hope you all are having a wonderful day. I'm sending you all so much love to the universe and beyond. Bye.